Hey guys, Jacqueline Fernandez here at the Alert Center. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We want to chat with the Better Business Bureau today about a recent scam that someone fell for right here in Omaha. So if you are a frequent traveler, you'd like to take to the skies, if perhaps you're headed somewhere for a vacation, this is something that you will want to learn more about, just to be on the safe side, right? So joining us now is Josh Planos with the Better Business Bureau. He's going to chat with us a little bit about this scam. And Josh, we never like to hear about scams that happen in our own backyard.
Certainly not, Jacqueline. And unfortunately, this happened within the last few weeks, just right here in Omaha. Someone likely had a flight coming up, did a little bit of research, tried to look into what TSA Precheck looks like and how to get verified for that. Those who have gone through that process know that there's an awful lot of information, personal information that you give up as a result of that pursuit. And this person uh, essentially applied for TSA PreCheck on a site that wasn't offering TSA PreCheck. They just jumped on one of the first Google search results that they received when they typed in that information. They did include in the report that they usually do look for .gov and some of those more traditional email addresses that are associated with these opportunities. But in this case, sadly, they just kind of overlooked that. They were doing everything on their phone, which makes it very easy to overlook important steps in the process. And they were ultimately out a couple $100s as a result of just trying to find a way to kind of shorten their experience through the lines of Epley Airfield.
Yeah, I mean, that is so unfortunate. And I know just for myself, I get so excited when I'm going on vacation or heading over to see family or friends. So, sometimes I'm not as focused as I would be otherwise on what exactly I'm clicking on. I'm like, just do it, let's get it done. But that sense of urgency, not necessarily on your side, especially in situations like this one.
Yeah, I don't know how many of us are signing up for a longer line for anything,
Right.
right? And I think many of us have experienced it, particularly around Memorial Day, where you would do just about anything to shortcut that line. And in this case, this person I think probably would have conducted that search a little bit differently if they weren't in a time crunch. They did not indicate that they were actually in line when they did this research, but they were under some sort of time constraint that put them in a situation where they weren't doing really their due diligence. They weren't slowing down and considering what the available options were. TSA.gov is the URL for this initiative, right? There are a lot of different ways you can go about finding a way to get pre-check or to go through global entry. But you want to make sure that you're at least working through the official channels. Scammers are really good at providing opportunities for you to go to a non-traditional channel as well. That's part of what makes them so good at what they do is they dangle a carrot, and typically that carrot is offering you something that you can't find elsewhere. And I think in this case, that was exactly what this person experienced.
Yeah, and that is so sad. And thankfully though, I will say it's only a couple $100s. So I mean, this could always be much worse depending on what exactly you're clicking on, what information you're giving scammers on the other end of your phone, etc. But can you tell us? I mean, if you see something like this, you mentioned on your cell phone, what's the biggest red flag?
So usually scammers are pretty good at covering their tracks, right? They're not going to make a site that looks very obviously like a scam. They wouldn't be very good at what they do if they approach things that way. But you do want to make sure that HTTPS is in the URL. Typically, you can see that even on a mobile device. I believe this was a website where it was HTTP, and all that really means is that your information is far less secure. All of the WWT .com, the BBB.org. Those are HTTPS websites for a reason. It's because those are that information is secure when you're on them. So you want to make sure you're at least double and triple checking that opportunity. Usually, there's because this is a government adjacent initiative, you want to make sure that the things look like they would come from the government. So I think there were kind of some maybe non-traditional colors that were on this website, which might be a giveaway for some. But for the most part, the site looked very, very official, right? It did look like exactly what you would experience if you were on, TSA.gov. And another thing I would just caution against is just it's important to not assume that the first couple of search results that you see, whether it's on a Google search or elsewhere, are official channels, right?
Good
A lot
call,
of
right?
times those opportunities are paid for, And while Google does a tremendous job of weeding out some of that activity, occasionally opportunities fall through the cracks, if only for a slight amount of time. And really, all it takes is a slight amount of time to make an enormous impact.
Oh,
I'm sure
definitely.
that if that search again today, they'd get wildly different results.
Definitely. And I was just going to say, especially in those Google searches, I think on the left-hand side of the page, it says like sponsored. So, people
Hmm.
pay to be in those prime slots. So that's something to take note of, I'm sure as well. So, talk to me a little bit about, perhaps this person could have saved some cash going the credit card route versus the debit route. Can you explain that to our viewers?
Yeah, so there's a slight difference between a debit and a credit card. Credit card opportunities come with a lot of protections. That's why we so regularly tell people that it's important to use them whenever possible. There's a lot of protections involved anytime you use a credit card. You can dispute those charges very easily with the credit card provider, and very often those charges are waived. So if you can, and you do have the option to choose that mode of payment, you want to use a credit card, fraudulent charges on credit cards very, very regularly are disputed. But unfortunately, there really isn't a way to get the personal information you might have shared back, but you do have the ability to reclaim your funds. And a debit card, very, very unlikely, next to impossible to get that money back if you use it. So scammers are, of course, aware of what mode of payment is most advantageous to them, which is why we so regularly talk about scammers requesting payment with peer-to-peer payment methods or cryptocurrency or debit cards or gift cards. It's because it's very unlikely for you to be able to reclaim those funds once you've keyed in that information.
Yeah, and that's so important. And you did touch on one other thing that could be sort of a side note to what we're discussing. But when you click on these links, I mean, you are giving some of your personal information to the quote unquote bad guys, right? I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean just because you didn't pay them something that your information isn't being jeopardized.
Without a doubt. In 2025, your information is currency. There really are no such things as free lunches. People use that saying for many, many years. Um, in a lot of cases, even just having your information is enough to provide you with things like newsletters or discounts. Like that information is essential for people to begin building targeted ads, for scammers to be able to create kind of like lookalike personas. All of that information is really, really useful in the aggregate, which is why it's important to keep that under wraps. So one thing I applaud this person for reporting their experience, not only because that can be challenging and difficult to do, but also they included in their report that they knew some of their personal information was provided as part of this scam, and they had worries that that information was going to be used uh, against them, right? So
Right.
they did their due diligence. They froze their credit report. They've done a lot of important next steps. But it's important to not just assume that, okay, I lost X amount of money and that's the end of the story, because
Right.
sadly that information being collected might be more harmful in the long run.
Yeah, good call there. And again, I mean, don't feel bad about reporting it. I know sometimes we get a little bit embarrassed or, oh gosh, I shouldn't have fallen for something so obvious, right? In the end, but you really are helping the community. I mean, this is your chance to really, let the community know what scams are affecting people within their community, right? So this is something that we can all, it takes a village, as they say.
Anyone who watches this segment will think a little bit differently about going through the TSA Precheck
Right.
navigational journey differently the next time, right?
Yeah.
That information in and of itself is incredibly valuable, and we can't protect anyone if we don't know that that is actually happening. So much credit to this person for speaking up and being courageous enough to bring that information forward. Jacqueline, we talk about this regularly. It takes 2.5 minutes to file a report on bbb.org/scam tracker. And that information can be used to actually shield the public from needing to experience it too. So please come forward with that information if you have it. That way we can be, a little bit safer next time. Certainly, we are looking to bypass the lines at that point.
Yeah, awesome. And when you're, taking off in your airplane and you're headed to that great destination, I mean, you'll know you've done it the right way and you can rest easy, maybe even order a cocktail or two.
Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Josh. Well, thanks so much for your time today. And thanks for the heads up, especially for all of us here in the greater metro area. So really appreciate your time and nice seeing you.
Nice to see you too, Jacqueline. Thank you.
All right. Have a good day. All right, so if you are just joining us, we were just chatting with Josh Planos with the Better Business Bureau to talk about a scam that really did will affect people here in Omaha. One person that I know of did fall victim to this TSA Precheck scam, so something to take note of there if you're a frequent flyer, if you're traveling maybe to see friends or family, going on that great vacation you've always wanted. Don't get too excited and just press the button. You want to look for HTTP first. That is kind of the first all clear sign that what you're clicking on is not a scam. So just something to touch on briefly there. Now, do want to chat a little bit about the weather. So let's take a live look outside from our Blackstone camera. So today, meteorologist Jarrett Lansford expects a mix of clouds and sunshine through the day. So this shot is pretty cloudy out there, breezy. You can see if you look closely, the clouds kind of moving in this shot over Blackstone and still looking pretty gray out there. As we head over to our Children's Nebraska cam now, let's take a live look at the traffic situation. So right now at the noon hour, traffic seemingly flowing smoothly, not too many cars. I typically see a lot of cars during the noon hour, give or take, depending on, the day of the week and how the weather conditions are out there. So meteorologist Jarrett Lansford does say mostly clear tonight, a low of 33 and light wind. So that is the good news for this evening. Also want to take a live look at the 90th and Dodge image here. I like this shot because you can see the American flag. So clearly not a very windy day right now, and then light wind tonight. So that's the good news. Wednesday, as we look ahead to tomorrow, mostly cloudy, scattered thunder showers overnight. This is something that meteorologist Bo Fogel was chatting about with us on air yesterday. So it looks like that's going to happen at this time. A high of 65 though, so not too cold out there. So that is the silver lining there. And then Thursday, a few lingering thunder showers early, partially clearing, and get this, with a high of 74. So we are going to make it into the 70s, fingers crossed, at least at this point, sometime this week and into our weekend. We'll kind of leave that as a web extra for you to check out. So in the meantime, you can always head to our website, firstalert6.com, for the very latest and greatest. Let me refresh this grid for you here. So you can see we do have this breaking news banner right here, 2 hospitalized in a North Omaha shooting. This is according to Omaha Police, and that story is right here in that, in this main block here for you to take a look at. We do have our top headlines, etc. Also, you can click up here in the gray banner, First Alert 6 weather, and here is a closer look at Jarrett's forecast. So hourly, 3-day, 10-day, and then as I alluded to, into the weekend. So we'll have to see what that is going to look like exactly, but kind of just a quick preview for you to take a look at before we say our goodbyes here at the Alert Center. So in the meantime, thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully you learned a thing or two from the Better Business Bureau on this cloudy Tuesday, and we'll see you at 3 p.m. for our broadcast with Dave Zavolinsky. Until then, have a good day.